We're here taking a look at the Panasonic Lumix DMC-GF2. Now the GF2 is the latest micro four thirds camera from Panasonic, and apparently this is the smallest model to date. Now micro four thirds cameras are a sort of more compact alternative to a digital SLR. You can change the lenses, but there's a sensor inside these cameras which is 9 times larger than what you'll typically find on a compact camera. Not quite as big as what you get in a digital SLR, but it's still big enough to give you the kind of image quality that you really can't get with a compact. Now Panasonic's GF1 model, which is the earlier incarnation of this, that fared really well in our test, so we're quite interested to see what changes Panasonic have put in the meantime to change these two models. Now the red model I've got here in my hands is the GF2. Now if I pick up just here, we've got the older GF1 model, and there have been a few changes between the two. For one thing, Panasonic now claim that the newer GF2 is around 18% smaller and 7% lighter than its older cousin, the GF1. However, that's come at a bit of a cost. If we look at the top of the camera, the new GF2 has actually lost the control dial and direct access shutter release button, which we saw on the earlier GF1 model. Now if you look on the rear of the GF2, things have changed there as well. There are fewer buttons than there were on the older GF1 model. But what you've got instead is a new touchscreen control. Now the old GF1 didn't have a touchscreen. It was a feature that was first introduced with Panasonic's G2 and the expensive GH2 micro four thirds models. So you can do this to access the aperture, the shutter speed priority, or the full manual controls using that touchscreen. You can also do it for neat tricks like one-touch focusing. So you take the camera and you can focus on something just by tapping the touchscreen, and it'll pick out that part of the picture and take a shot immediately. Again, if you look at the top of the GF2, where that control dial's been stripped away, there's now space for a stereo microphone. Now there was no stereo mic on the older GF1 model, and another feature on this for the video mode is 1080i recording. Now as well as the built-in stereo microphone, you can attach an external mic via the hot shoe and the mic attachment on the top of the camera. Now using that hot shoe, you can also attach an external flash gun, or you can also attach an electronic viewfinder. Now as you can see from the body of the camera, there's no viewfinder on this model, so you'll have to get an external electronic viewfinder that you pop along on top of the hot shoe if you prefer to hold a viewfinder to your eye. You can also use an external flash, or you can use the pop-up flash just along the side of the GF2 there. So if we take a look inside the GF2, you can see there the micro four thirds sensor. So this is significantly larger than what you're going to get on any compact camera. But with the GF2, I mean, it's almost a pocketable model. If you use it together with this 14mm pancake lens, which it can come packaged with, this is something that you could easily fit into a jacket pocket, and that's not something you could say about most digital SLRs. Now Panasonic hasn't bothered changing the megapixel count between the GF1 and the new GF2. They both got a 12.1 megapixel sensor. However, the sensor itself has changed, and Panasonic's put in a new processing engine as well, so that's to help it record in the higher definition HD video mode, which is available on the GF2. Panasonic also claimed that the new sensor is going to get an even better low-light performance than the previous GF1 model could do. Now we'll withhold judgment on that until we've had a chance to fully test the GF2 in our labs when it becomes available in January 2011. If you're used to using a digital SLR or one of the larger micro four thirds cameras, it can be a little bit frustrating not to have that direct access via a control dial or via a button. Some people just don't like delving into on-screen menus, so that might be a sticking point if you're considering the GF2 as a purchase option. However, it does have all those manual controls that you'd be looking for. There's shutter speed priority, aperture priority, full manual mode, and of course there's Panasonic's own intelligent auto mode. At the touch of a button, you can always revert straight back to intelligent auto if you're finding yourself a bit lost in the menu settings. So if we look at the GF2 alongside its older cousin, the GF1, you can see where the body's changed. You can see it's a little bit slimmer, a little bit more narrow, and it's lost that control dial, but it's made space for that little microphone on top. You can see there isn't a huge deal to separate the two, but definitely it is a little bit of a slimmer body. It's also not so much larger than a compact bridge camera. Now if we take a look at Panasonic's latest model, which is the LX5 compact bridge camera, I mean this really just looks like the slightly smaller cousin of the GF2. We put the two cameras alongside one another. There's not a huge amount to separate the two of them in terms of size. They'd each fit into a jacket pocket. The only difference is the LX5, you can't change the lens on it, and it's got a smaller sensor at its heart. Now the Panasonic GF2 is going to be available from January 2011. You can get it packaged with the 14mm f2.5 pancake lens, alternatively with the 14 to 42mm lens, or even with both. We'll have full test results just as soon as it's available for our test lab. In the meantime, keep on checking on at which.co.uk, where we have full reviews of micro four thirds cameras and digital SLRs. At which.co.uk, we list specifications and explain features to help you find a best buy camera that won't let you down. Each review is linked to a live pricing page, showing you the cheapest online retailer to help you save when you buy. Our product comparison tool makes it easy to directly compare cameras and find models with the features you want. You can pick cameras with HD video modes, or choose a camera by megapixel count or zoom range. You can even select touchscreen cameras or waterproof models. So check out which.co.uk/cameras.